I want to welcome you to Graham Elementary School. My name is Wally Platt. I'm the principal at Graham. And I see a lot of familiar faces here in the crowd, and some people that are not so familiar. And we want you to become more familiar with Graham. Tonight we have a real special meeting. It's going to be our first, we'll call it a family night here at Graham Elementary. We have formed a group called Families in School Together We Will Succeed, and we're now going to invite you today or tonight to become members of that group. And this group, headed by a lady who has been putting a lot of time and energy. Matter of fact, she's the one who came to me and said, we need to do something about educating parents what is going on in this school. And she said the best way to do it is have parents teaching parents. Do it that way. And I thought that's a great idea, because we have a great volunteer program here in Graham. We had last year was our first year, and we had a tremendous response from parents. This year's even bigger. Of course, the school is bigger and better this year. And we had philosophy, and you've read philosophy, talking about the inviting school. Well, there's a second part of that, and that is you have an invitation, and you come into the school and become part of us. We invite you, and you welcome the invitation to come in and join us in the education of our children. It's a dual partnership. This group, headed by Theo Graves, is going to advance that. It's going to educate you in what the school is all about, the programs in the school, in this district. And when you become educated, we hope that you will become a bigger, better part and be more involved in the school. And that's the whole thrust of this group. And we welcome you. We hope you I hope you come back in the next 4 sessions. We welcome you back, and we hope you have an enjoyable evening. And I want to introduce now the person that's probably put 40 hours in the last 2 days. This program, she's got a group though, that's been working very hard, not just her. The leader of this group, and that's Theo Graves. Theo?
Good evening. I really thank you for coming tonight. It's a very exciting time for myself as well as for the team that's put this program together. And I might add that Wally Platt is part of that team. We met together last year at the end of the year and decided we wanted to do something about this. We found that there was training available. We went to a workshop in August, and that's called Parent Leadership Training. And we met several times in August, and then we've come back to the school and shared our ideas with teachers and parents, and we just had tremendous response. I was so pleased by the teachers and their willingness to put in extra hours to come up with activities for us to work on at home. We'll be talking about that a little bit later. And by the parents. I must admit that when we set this workshop up, we thought we'd be meeting in the library with a smaller group, and we had the pleasant problem of having too many people for the library, so that's why we're in the gym tonight. And if you were wondering where you're supposed to be, that was the problem. And then the other thing is we arranged for 2 child care workers for tonight, and as you probably gathered from the hallway that there are quite a few more kids. We now have 8 adults working with the children, so hopefully your children will have fun here tonight. I think some very special people tonight are those who are parents who are new to the school. So before I go over the agenda, I'd like to recognize us, the people who come here together, parents and teachers. So I would like, I don't know if you can stand, maybe if you're a parent who's new to this school, if you'd raise your hand real high. Great. Well, welcome these people. Look around, and you who are not new, make them feel comfortable. Okay, I'd like to welcome the teachers. And we have some teachers who are also parents here. And I'd like to have you, can you stand, teachers? Okay, great. Now keep standing so people can see you. Keep standing here. Go on. We have one with the baby. And if you would just introduce yourself briefly and what grade Okay.
We have Debbie Henry over here with her youngest, and she is on maternity leave this year for half a year. And she teaches 6th grade. We welcome you back as a parent. Her daughter goes to school here. We have Lee Johnson, and she is right now taking place of Julie Wasserberger and the chapter program. We welcome you here. Thank you for coming. We have Coretta. Her daughter is going to school here, and just your daughter here. And she teaches 3rd grade. She taught kindergarten when she's one of those teachers that teaches anything, and she does a good job in everything. Dolores Cleverwood is a new teacher this year. She's a parent. Many of you know her as a parent in this area, and now she's a kindergarten teacher. Welcome you. We have Jay Brower, and he is our social worker at our school. And he kind of shares jobs. He's at Roy 2 days, he's here for 3 days. We welcome him. And then Larry Cooper, he is kind of doing a dual role this year. He's a 3rd grade teacher and also doing work with me as an intern, administrative intern. And he's doing an outstanding job.
You have to understand I'm here as a parent, not as a professional presenter. I'm doing this because I like workshops myself. I think parent education is very important, and I find that if you want this kind of thing, you do it yourself. So I've already goofed up on one thing, and that was in introducing our team. Because we left one person over there as part of our team who is not on the staff here, and that's Chris from Finland. Stand up, please. And she did attend the workshop that we trained at in Seattle. The organization that trained us is the Citizens Education Center Northwest. Was anyone listening to Cairo News Radio today? No. Joy Cook was en route on the interstate, and she said that we were reported about. We are one of 17 schools that's starting a parent education program tonight in the western Washington area. And her school in Seattle has 120 parents coming tonight, but they have 19 languages represented. So if we were at that school, we would have all kinds of interpreters here. It would take 3 times as long as it has so far. Another school in our area that's doing the same program, or a similar program, because we want them tailor-made to our schools, is Kapowson. And I know some people here probably have children who attended Kapowson. And we are working in cooperation with them. Perhaps the school has workshops with them at one school and the other. I'd like to thank you, the people who are not here to hear the thanks, but the people who are run copies for us and set up things for us and are doing the child care. I think what we're doing tonight is very, very important. The reason that I'm involved in this workshop is that I think we as parents have tremendous power in our children's lives. We have tremendous influence. And the more we know about their education, the better off they are and we are. The idea behind the Family and School program is that we invite parents to come to this school because it is your school. This is a place for you to come. We want you to feel welcome, as Mr. Platt was saying. And we want you to come with any question you have or comments, and that can be to parents or the staff or the teachers or the specialists here. That this is school. This is a place for you to come and learn as well. And so later on, we will be having home activities that we will share with you. And the teachers have put together papers for you to take home and actually try activities with your children or your spouse or neighbor or whoever, and have fun with it. The advice too, that learning is fun, should be fun, and it's fundamental. And that came from our Superintendent of Public Instruction, Judith Billings. Her theme is learning is fundamental with an emphasis on fun. What we'll be doing for the rest of the evening is getting to know each other with an icebreaker, and this will take a minute. And we will be hearing from Larry Cooper about the philosophy of Graham, as well as the self-study that a team of people involved with. We'll be hearing from Mr. Platt about the special program and the system that we have here. We'll be hearing from our PTA and our volunteer program, just real briefly about what they can offer you and what you can offer them. And Jay Brown spent many hours putting together a videotape of our school. and that will run for about 15 minutes. And then we'll take a break. Does anyone want to get their picture taken? Well, our photographers are really efficient then. Okay, great. Those pictures, by the way, are for you to get back next week. So bring your folders back. Those are for you to keep your papers in and bring them back, and we'll have your picture put on there. And then we'll also, we're going to do this, right? That was the idea. So you'll have another picture here of yourself and your family. After we take the break, we're going to talk about your role as a parent in your child's education, and the rights and responsibilities of parents, and the rights and responsibilities of students. We'll finish off with homework activities, and then questions and answers for class. Obviously, we've not had open house yet. There are a lot of questions about what's happening with the numbers of students that we have here, so we want to have time for you to ask questions about that. So, right now, I'd like to introduce Chris again, and she'll go over the registration sheet that you're getting.
Hi. You'll notice in the packet there are lots of papers, but there aren't as many as there could be. And there's a reason for that. The reason is we have this wonderful student handbook here at Graham. It comes out at the end of October, so if you're new here, you don't have one yet. We have some from last year. If you'd like to pick one up and look through it until the new one comes out, you're welcome to. If you have any questions at all about the school, they're answered in this book. I was running late to go through it, but if you have one at home that you haven't opened, go back and look through it. And if you need a new one, get it. One of the papers in the packet is a registration form. The people who train us are working on a statewide project. One of the things that they would like to do is be able to have numbers. Do parent involvement actually help students? Are the students performing better? Are their test scores better? Are their grades better? Because their parents are here. To that end, they would like to be able to look over records of the students whose parents attend this program. It's purely voluntary. At the school, Mr. or Jay, we will do that. There will be no names attached to the response and be anonymous. But if you fill out the registration form and then give presenters to the idea, know that. They really appreciate it. If you have any questions about that, you could ask them flat in. You need to do that right now, but just as long as it's turned in a little bit later. Okay. I don't have a copy. One of the things we're doing here tonight is getting to know each other. And you probably sat next to somebody you know, or somebody who at least you recognize. But by the end of these workshops, we'll all know each other. We'll all feel comfortable seeing each other and knowing each other when we come to the school. So in order to get to know each other, we have this little icebreaker with our little bear. And it's pretty self-explanatory. You fill in your name and your children's names. Then around the wheel, you fill in your answers to my hero or heroine, my child's teacher, my hobby, the grade my child or children are in, the number in my family, my favorite food, my favorite thing about Graham, and the state you were born in. Then, you'll get up and go around the room and find other people whose answers match yours. They will sign their name in a little wedge there. And the object is to get at least one name signed in each wedge. So we'll have about 2 or 3 minutes to get the answers filled in, and then about 5 or 10 minutes to go around the answers. So have at it. Where's the area?
Larry Cooper, and I'm going to be talking about the school philosophy. I always like to look around and just see the thrill and excitement that goes through an audience when you say philosophy like that. You go, whoa, this is great. But the philosophy, it's really kind of interesting. It's probably one of those things that you take for granted. But I was doing some research, our self-study team, when we started our philosophy last year. We put together a team of teachers and parents and classified employees and administrators and started working on some goal setting for the school. We want to have something to base improvement on and things to look at the school, sort of base everything we do on. And I found out that philosophy really is pretty important. I was looking at a book called In Search of Excellence, where they've done research on the most successful companies in America and looking at things that make those companies successful. And one of those things was the philosophy. They all had it. It was one of those things that was ingrained in them. People just sort of lived it and talked it. And they found out that when that happened, everybody had a common focus, and it really was an important part of the success of that company. And one thing they found, the number one thing in that philosophy was that people have respect for each other. They said that was the number one thing. And so I started looking at our school philosophy here to see how closely we started paralleling those things. I'm going to put it up on the overhead here as I talk, just so we can take a look at those things as we go along. Number one thing was respect. So I looked for that in our philosophy. I see that in there. They also had, even though we didn't speak directly to it up there, they said the other things that made those companies important were that they made people winners. They wanted them to succeed. I started thinking, yeah, that's what we do here at Graham Elementary. We want that for your students, for our students, for your children. We want them to stand out. We want to give them recognition. And I see that going on in our school. We want to treat them, they said, treat people as adults. And I interpret that as we want to treat kids, giving them responsibility, developing trust in them. And I said, yeah, those same kind of things are happening here at Graham Elementary. And when they talked about a philosophy becoming ingrained, I thought, how neat to have that philosophy become ingrained in the staff here, in the students, in the parents that are involved here. Those are important things, and we can focus on that with a philosophy. That's what it's there for. Another thing that I looked at was an effective schools research model that was done by a National Center for Effective Schools. They wanted to find out what it was that made schools effective. They wanted to model schools after that. The number one thing on their list was a school philosophy or mission statement. They said, number one, it needs to be stated clearly. And I sort of looked back at this again because when we were developing this, it was really kind of interesting. We would talk it back and forth and try and say, now what are you really saying? Don't give me that jargon, don't get that mumble jumble. Let's dilute it down again. Let's try and get it straightforward and to the point. And so I was reading through this again, and I really think we're getting close to that, where it's real straightforward. It should be pretty clear. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit in a moment. But there needs to be a focus for academic achievement. And that was our number one thing up there. Graham Elementary exists to offer a quality education program for our students. That's our number one thing. That sounds important. Also, it's a focal point for improvement. When we look at goals of the school, things we want to develop, new things at school, we need to reflect back to this philosophy up here. We do those things. Are we looking for excellence in the program here? Are we looking at ways that true students accept? Are we challenging them? Are we listening to them? Are we encouraging them? This should be a focus point that we reflect back on all the time. And hopefully, as you visit our school, we become part of the scene. We can true students and the things that we do, and the activities you're involved in. And that's one of the things up here, as we said, that teachers promote learning as an exciting, fun experience. And as role models, what they do is important because what they say. And you have to think about it as you walk into school, you're going to say a lot, but what you see them doing is much more important. And so we hope that as you take a look at our philosophy, you will see these kind of things happening in our school. They become a part of our culture. We normally treat kids, the way we act, the way we talk to teachers, to students, to parents. You'll see those things happening here at Graham Elementary. And finally, one of the reasons you'll see our philosophy popping up in different places on folders, pamphlets, or reads like this, you'll see people talking about it, is that we need to have a clear perception of what it is. When we talk about the school philosophy, you'll be thinking, oh yeah, we're talking about respect. We're talking about giving an excellent program for my kids. Those are the kind of things that they think are important at Graham Elementary. And we want to communicate that clearly to them, that that's what we believe in. That's what's important here. When you're part of our school, we want you to feel that, see it here. Down here it says, students' education is strengthened through the cooperation between parents, community, and school. We wrote that last year when we were thinking about what was important at this school, things we wanted to develop. And tonight, we have a trade session that grew out of that. And it wasn't necessarily planned that we were going to have philosophy, but it's something that a combination of need from Zachary, from the input that we got. And tonight, I'm really encouraged to see a number of people at our first meeting. We're going to be talking about things that we feel are important in the education of your children. We want a partnership in that. We want to know what we stand for here at Graham Elementary. That's why we're sharing our philosophy, so that you'll know what we're going to be placing, what we build our program around. And so tonight, I would just like to say thank you for being here. I'd like to encourage you to continue to become involved in our school. I encourage you to continue to look for these things in our program. We think they're important, and we would like you to join us in making this important elementary. You know, study group is still going on, and it started with this philosophy. We're building on it, and we're going to be coming up with goals here shortly. We're going to be developing in part of a 5-year plan for Graham, and all of those things will stem from what we believe about this school. And so we really do value your input. That community model of parents working together with the school is one that we really feel is important. We've been looking at all kinds of surveys. For our parent survey, how many people remember the parent survey last year? Get that yellow sheet you turned in? Yeah, thank you. When we sent that out, people said, okay, you're going to send a survey out, you've got about 150 families. You'll probably get like 10% back. That's an average for a normal survey. You maybe get, 20 or 30 surveys back. It's no big deal. We got back about 160 surveys from the parents here. And that is just really neat. It's exciting to have that kind of involvement, that kind of participation in caring about a school and program. And so I'm really encouraged about our school here. I'm excited to see everybody here tonight. And it's just really neat to see that involvement as our philosophy becomes a real part of the school and ingrained deeply for an excellent school and program. Thanks.
The sign of a good philosophy is that you hear it from everybody that's involved. You hear the same words come out of their mouths, the same actions occurring in the school. That's a sign that the philosophy is actually being practiced. And if you come to our staff meetings, and you see a teacher's classroom working with children or in the hallway, you'll see it happening. You'll see these things happening all the time. They can get up and they can articulate to the public, just like Larry. Any staff member can get up and tell you what our philosophy is, because it comes from the heart. They care for kids, you care about your children, and us together, all of us together, can make this a fine institution for our children. And that's the whole purpose behind this. Thank you, Larry. Good job. I'm here to talk about the specialists and the special programs we have here at Graham. And the kind of programs we have here at Graham are pretty much the same as they have in any of the schools in the Bethel School District. First on the list is our social worker, and Jay Bauer is our social worker here, and we hope that because the levy passed next year, we will have him here 5 days rather than 3 days, because he's a very important person in our school. He is a positive person, he cares about people very much. Anybody who has visited with Jay would say that. He is a very caring, loving person. And that makes for a good social worker. He is able to communicate well with parents, children, and the two together in the same room, and solve problems that are occurring with children in the school environment. Also, he's very, very capable of solving many domestic problems or problems within the family. And his value is immense. And social work is one thing, but having a person that fits the role perfectly is another thing. We're very fortunate in having Jay. Sylvia Hamilton is our resource room teacher, and she's new this year. And resource room is actually a class where students that are 2 to 3 grades below grade level in reading or in math or any of the subject areas, they attend that class. And it's a special class where they get, they're maybe groups of 4 or 5, they get more attention. And Sylvia is an experienced teacher that's transferred over from El Plain. And some of those students are in there for between 45 minutes and 3 hours, giving special attention. And it's for learning stability. And it's a very fine program, and Sylvia does a good job with those kids. The psychologist, we have a new psychologist, and we're very happy to have Brian Berg aboard. He's new to the district. He's transferring from, he applied from Tacoma School District, and he's had a lot of experience in Tacoma. If you meet Brian, you're going to instantly see a professional. He comes across as a professional. He's very easy to talk to, And he's very, you think of psychologists kind of, a different language. Well, Brian talks in our language and communicates very, very well with the common lay person. And I call myself a lay person when it comes to psychologists. He does a real good job, and he works very well with the staff. And we're very happy to have him aboard. Of course, in music and band and vocal, we have the greatest band and vocal teacher in the country, and Diana Craig. It was the state. Now I've come to the country. Pretty soon it'll just be the world, universe. But if you've been here last year, you already know the quality of work that she does. You're going to see a continued emphasis, and she hasn't even advanced herself now. She's to the electronic age, and you're going to see many of the productions that deal with a lot of electronic music, and the kids are really excited about it. So she just continues to grow, and the kids continue to advance in those areas of band and vocal. Matter of fact, we have 58 members in the band this year. And there's 3 that are still in the classroom, and they call for a full band. I hate to see one of those 112 third graders get up there, and we're going to have a band. She has to have band now in the gym. She can't have it up on stage because there's too many. And when we get 100 in the band, ooh. We have a speech therapist, and Janice Graham, and she has been in district a long time. I'm very happy to have her experience here. She works with children about a day and a half a week. She has quite a schedule too, and does a real fine job with students in speech. In PE, we have 2 teachers that split the job. We have Tammy Forsland, who is here for 2 days. She also teaches at the house in 3 days. And Linda Bernard, who teaches here 3 days, and she teaches 2 days on plane. So they're kind of split. About this year, they are very hard to come to our PE program, and that's their main goal for us this year. And I'm really happy to hear that that's going to happen, because they need to work close together and make one PE program. I'm glad to see that we're interested in doing that, and you're going to see a fine PE program this year. The librarian, Deanne, here is one of the greatest librarians. I was so happy to be able to hire Andrea Hines, who is, if many of you people have met her, she is just an outstanding librarian in person. Just to add to the many quality people we have working here, she had many years experience in the Pierce County Library System and working with children. And I was very fortunate to be able to hire her, and we're very happy as a staff to have her aboard. And in the basic skills specialist, we have Lee Johnson, who's about 2 more weeks left. She is substituting for Julie Wasserberger. We're very happy to have Lee aboard. She's brought some expertise. She's worked very hard in a difficult situation, starting a school year, getting things organized, doing all the scheduling, testing, in learning a staff, and all the other things, that you have to do when you come into a new school. And I'm very happy with the way Lee has really put effort and time into that job. And Julie, if you met Julie, I tell you, there's a dynamite. There's so much energy in this person. She was pregnant and has a baby, and when she was pregnant up to the last minute, I think she was going faster than she was when she wasn't pregnant. I never see anybody that works so hard. She is a person who is very organized and gets along very well with everybody, and she is kind of like the energy of that of the building. She just the whole building's kind of up about 3 feet when she's around. And very happy to have that kind of energy and enthusiasm on the staff. Those are the special people we have, the specialists we have in the school. Of course, we have many other people that are classified that are special people in our school, and volunteers, and they're also just as special. And we welcome all of you as volunteers, and we are very happy to have a great staff of classified employees too, that do a great deal of work here at Graham. Well, the psychologist, basically, we only have the psychologist, Brian, here for a day and a half. They spread those psychologists throughout the district very thin, and they're just basically, Actually, we meet as in the staffing and work with at-risk students. Students that are their names are given to us by teachers or parents, or I give the names to them, whatever, and they deal with academic problems in the classroom, behavioral problems in the classroom, or both, or anything that we can find is a kind of an at-risk situation for that child. And we have a group we call the staffing, it's an MDT group, and they sit down and we sit down and discuss these students and try to find out if there's something we can do to better their education here at Grant. And we talk a lot about, and Jay is in charge of that group. Brian, he's the one that does the testing. If we get permission from the parents to test the child, Brian will do a lot of that testing. And he also adds a lot of expertise in when we talk about children and different programs that we might suggest. He comes up with those kinds of suggestions and really helps us in directing our efforts in helping that child. The social worker, on the other hand, is here more often, works more directly with the children. He assists me in that sometimes I call him in to just listen when I'm talking to a child or a parent and add in the discussion. He doesn't do any discipline, but he'll sit there and listen. And after he through, I'll ask, "Oh, how did that go?" And then he'll say, "Well, this and this and this." He gives me some directions and help in handling children and handling situations with adults and that kind of thing. He's very, very good at that. He works with staff. When staff has a problem, maybe they're having a personal problem, he's a person to talk to. He's very confident in dealings with staff and parents and that kind of thing. So he's there for you. If you want to come and talk to him about the family, he's a good listener. He's got a lot of background. He can give a lot of suggestions as to solving some problems. He also is an expert in figuring and knowing other agencies to go to and direct you in agencies that are around. And has been very helpful with that. Can't say enough for Jay. He's really an outstanding person. Yes.
I don't understand the difference between what Mrs. Wasserberger does as a basic skills specialist and Mrs. Hamilton.
Yeah, good question. They are doing basically the same thing, but at different levels. The chapter program, where we're starting to host programs, the volunteer program, work with children that are maybe one grade level lower than they, in reading and math and that. Then, if they're more severe, and we've tested them in their have learning disabilities that are more severe. Okay, actually, the Winston chapter might not have learning disabilities. They might just be slow at learning something at that particular subject, reading or math. They might not have any disability at all. They're just slower, and they need more time and attention given to that particular subject. The resource room, they have some learning disabilities. They have some problems at decoding, and there's just something that they're having a problem with in interpreting things and learning. And they are given more attention, and that's what the resource room is. They get more time in there. There's hopefully less kids with more attention given by adults. I think that answered your question. So it's actually the chapter program not as severe. When they get more severe learning disability, and they're tested to find that we might have learning disability. We then we assign them to a resource room which will give them assistance in the classroom studies. We try to give them classroom work and are given more assistance. It might not be at the same level, but it's still classroom work. We try to meet the children's needs at the level they are. And when they get to 2 and 3 grade levels lower than they're assigned to, then they need to have more time for the work. And classroom teacher has a harder time doing that, so that's why we have these special classes, so they can give the kid more time.
I need to make a brief announcement. There's a lovely little baby girl, little purple jumper on, who needs her mother, and she had a name tag. Thanks. Oh, now a word from PTA. We're sponsored.
exciting we had this year to see so many new faces. I'm Bobby Wilson, and I am your PTA president. And as of our last count, we are almost up to 250 PTA members for this year. And we are excited about that number. PTA has a lot of programs planned for this year. Our first one for the kids will be taking place next Wednesday, the 11th. We are having Pioneer Farms come in. They're bringing in their centennial program. So the kids will have a little bit of history, yet have some fun doing it. We have off night planned in November. We will have a food drive in December. We have a parent program planned. We will be talking about the more crucial things in life. We're going to see we have a lot of programs, day and night, where we could use parent volunteers. We just finished with the pictures, and I had a list so long, I only made it about a quarter of the way through the list of volunteers before I had everybody I needed. And I got more calls. Well, nobody called me, I was on the list, and I just got hold of them and said, sorry we didn't need to use you this time. We had quite a long list, and we're just going to keep those names, and the next time pictures come around, we'll use those names. So, and some people will say, well, all I can give is an hour at school. Only maybe one day a week I can come for an hour. We say come. That 1 hour, if you add up amongst all the other hours that we have put in at this school, is very important. In September alone, we had over 400 hours of volunteer time. That's just getting started. That's before we even have names of people. That's just people that say, I'd like to come in and volunteer in my child's classroom today. And the teacher has brought them in, and then they just keep coming back. And that's what we like to see here at Graham. Does anyone have any questions about PTA and what we're doing at Graham this year? Well, I'm going to turn the mic over to the volunteer chairman, and she will give you more details onto our volunteer program. Joy Cook.
Thanks, Bobby. Bobby already gave you the commercial. It's fun for me tonight because I've been collecting. It has pockets and it doesn't. I've been working with your names since the beginning of when you passed the volunteer sheets, and tonight it's really fun to be able to put faces and names together. We thank you for your response. We had 160 volunteer forms returned. That's every place from the person who, what they can contribute this year is cookies, to the person that's marked every dadgum thing on the whole sheet. It's going to be a busy person. For those of you who didn't have an opportunity to fill in the volunteer form, there are some over here on this brown thing that is not a statement where I want you to put them. But if you didn't put in a volunteer form, they are over there. A note, we do have a wonderful response to volunteers. There are some individual teachers that could still use some help. We were thrilled. Last year we had 2 classrooms in this building who had no one sign up to help with the teacher. And this year every teacher had at least 1 or 2 people who said they would be willing to help. And so, but we still have a few teachers that could use some more. If you're willing to do things at home, or if you're willing to come in the classroom occasionally. The other thing that is kind of neat, if you have any special skills, like right now we're looking for someone who has carpentry skills because they want a science cart made, and they'll provide all the plans and everything. So if you have any special skills that you might be willing to use just one time during the year or something, if you take a volunteer form and write that down, that would be really helpful. I don't have a clue how to put together a science card, even with the directions. So there's things like that that come up. So again, to reiterate what Bobby said, whether you can give an hour a month, an hour every 6 months, or an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours a week, we welcome you, and that's what makes this school so exciting, because it really is a partnership. Thank you, and the forms are really good.
went through the classrooms. I should say I started out at the bus stop early in the morning and just went and kind of walked through the school, the staff, the students. Probably have about a half-hour video or so, which I edited down. You thank me later. But what I want you to know is that if you don't see your child, it's because there were just so many students that we couldn't get them all on video, and I wanted to kind of zoom in and slowly scan the rooms. If you don't see your son or daughter, what you may do is come back at open house and we'll have it sitting out here and you can watch your particular unedited vision or view of your child. So please come back for that. With that, I'll go ahead and we'll turn on the video and I'll narrate as we go along. Good morning, Graham Grizzlies. It's another beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest. Comes the familiar welcome of our principal, Mr. Wally Platt. This year, Graham in its second year opened up to almost 700 students, and yet each student is an individual and deserves special attention and special consideration, as you all know. As the students come off us, then they go in and file into the building out here in the front and go to their particular area unless they have a concern in the office that they need to talk about. We have students coming from many, many different areas. And here we are in the front of the building. Our mascot is the Grizzlies, but the truth is that if you walk around the school, you'll see more teddy bears than you will Grizzlies for sure. Here we are at the front door, and the students again, they're filing in. If you'll look up as you walk into our building, you'll see the original sign from the first Graham School, which was located near 224th and Meridian. Some of you will remember that. And here we're looking down the hall where you registered at. Here we are in the office staff. Mr. Plow is quite surprised to see me. We have Miss McLaren, Miss Diane Mathene. If you call, you'll most likely either talk with Diane, Joanne Lee, the health clerk, on the phone now, or Dana Hubbard, who is our secretary. Here we are at the first PTA general meeting. I see Tammy sitting right there. And we recognize at Graham Elementary School that you are the first teacher of your child. And if your child is to succeed, it will be largely because of you. We support you in that, but you are the first and foremost teacher. And now we're going to go through some of the classrooms. Here we have our kindergarten room, and you'll see Miss Scott sitting here, and right now Sandy's reading them a story, and the children listen carefully. You'll notice they're on the floor, and they like that. Now we're in Miss Cleverwood's class, Dolores, and here the students are doing some work. They're working independently in different centers, while Miss Cleverwood is there to help guide them. Now we're moving into the first grade. Here we have Miss Pagel. Again, some teaching takes place with the students in the chairs. Other times it's on the floor, or they're in many different areas of the school. Here they're receiving some instruction on language and vocabulary. Some of you may have a student in Miss Doro's class. Today she's teaching about safety in case of an earthquake. I just happened to be walking in as she was doing this, so she proceeded with the kids. Students have a chance to tell their side of what they should do in an earthquake.
Exactly, smart answer. And the thing that you are the closest to that you can get up.
Next, Miss Christ. Miss Christ adds a lot to our school. She is in charge of the Positive Action Program, which is a lot of work, but each of your kids are treated with a lot of respect, and they learn that positive actions bring back positive results. They receive a lesson on self-concept or something every day. Not all schools have this, Graham does. Miss McGinnis. We have 4 first grade classes, as you noticed. Miss McGinnis is here for the second year.
Who can tell me what
Kids are asked a lot of questions because that gets them to think rather than just hear all the time. We like to have them spark their thoughts. Here we are now going to the second grade. This is Miss Allen, Leslie Allen, and her kids are in the reading group. If you walk into your child's classroom, you'll probably see a table that's in an oval, and that is where she may gather kids around in a reading group so they can get a little bit more individual attention, while the other students work independently at their desks. You'll see a lot of Batman shirts as we walk through here. Miss Ova Christensen, she's also in her second year. She's expecting a child, and so we expect that she'll probably have a substitute teacher come in later, but the kids adapted that pretty well. Today, I believe they're taking a test in here. After they've been taught and had a chance to learn, then they will be doing a test to make sure that they know that. Miss Hope has a volunteer. She has a student teacher here this year. Her student teacher is Miss Cruz. We have 2 student teachers this year in our school. They will have different groups. That was the octagon group. They're trying to learn shapes. So what better way than to have an octagon group?
All right, good.
Here's Miss
That's what I'm
Peretta.
doing with you. There's some pairing in that one. 7 plus
Third
7 is
grade.
14. Put down the 4 and you what was your wrong? Carry it. So put it up above the 10.
This is math. Here's Miss Craig. As Mr. Platt said, she does so many great things for the school through music. Band, chorus.
Did you do it all by yourself? Yeah. You did a wonderful job.
You'll hear a lot of wonderful job. You're doing really well. You'll hear a lot of encouragement.
Write that 3 times.
Miss Nabosny came to us from Kapowson. This is her second year here as well. She teaches the 3rd grade. Looks like Miss Clubroots nodded here.
Put 23 together. You see the extra 4.
Now we're moving to the 4th grade. This is Miss Ty. You'll notice again that the kids now are doing hands-on things. Not only do they do things with pencil and paper, but they'll actually have a chance to do hands-on things through math or other activities. She's in a portable out here in the first portable. Miss A comes to us new this year. She's in the 2nd portable. We have 3 portables. We perhaps will have 5 before the year's out because of the 700 kids in the school. It amazed me to see how much learning was taking place, and you wouldn't know there were 700 kids in this school the day that I walked around. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Here's a friendly class.
Let's all wave it for her. Oh, but not Andy. Yes, conditions now.
The friendliest in
Get
the
Andy
school.
on tape.
Get Andy on tape. He'll be mad.
There's a lot of joking going on. Miss Bell moving into the 5th grade. The primary wings, kindergarten, of course, down here, and the intermediate, or the 4th, 5th, 6th, down in this area. Miss Bell is going to get her MRS degree. She's going to get married here pretty soon. We're excited for her. Some kids tried to get out of it. You'll see later in the LRC, one student went right out of the chair and down, just followed her right down. That was okay. Mr. Malone. Mr. Malone has a large class at this time. We'll need another 5th grade soon.
Number 10 is 1,000. Number 11 is 17.
Here he's giving the answers to a test that they've been given. He's doing an informal administrative internship this year under Mr. Platt.
Chris, 30,000. Number 14, round off from here. 10,000 with what? John? 10,000.
I couldn't tell if he was waving or if he actually raised his hand.
420,000. Number 16, round off to the nearest 10,000. 10,000.
Here's Mr. Lackrow. First two students in his classroom, Mr. Arneson. And here they are in the Learning Resource Center, which is situated right over here. You can watch this, the girl tries to leave the chair trying to get away from coming up right here. It's not only a place to learn to read books, but also, here she is. Yes. Here we are again with the same class, Mr. Lackrow's 5th grade class, Mr. Lackrow. Also, Miss Allred, she's the assistant to Miss Hines in there. She does a lot. We have a computer system to check out for the books. Here's Miss Hines. She's helping. This is the World Book section. She's helping with references. Now, here's Mr. Cooper's class. He's also doing an administrative internship this year, 3rd grade. Off of our Learning Resource Center, you'll see a computer lab with many, many computers there. And Mr. Cooper's really into computers. Now listen to this.
Looking at me,
They're lining up.
there's just eager expressions in their eyes. 1, 2.
Okay, here we are in the 6th grade now. Miss Christensen, Marcy Christensen. This is her first year here. Doing a great job. Our 6th graders are kind of the examples for others to follow. They are a big part of our school. Okay, that was Miss Christensen. And now Miss Smith was filling in for Miss Henrier with the 2nd 6th grade class. Students being ready for another activity. Are you amazed your child's doing so good? They do. Miss Patterson is a fun teacher who takes teaching seriously. She goes out on a limb to help every student succeed. They also have fun in their class. Watch, here she goes again. Playing peekaboo. Here we are in the resource room. This is for those students who need extra help, and they receive a lot more one-on-one help than they may receive in a regular classroom. That was Miss Hamilton. And next we'll have the speech therapist. Her name is Jan Graham. Today she's getting ready for a student to come in. Her husband is the principal over at Shining Mountain. Here we are in the teacher's lounge. This is where the teachers will have lunch and try to take a little break and get ready again for the kids to come back in. Doing one of my favorite things, eating. Here we are in the story well of the Learning Resource Center, Miss Hines.
Mud is squashy. Mud is oh so squashy. Mud is oh so squishy, squashy. What you need?
Here we are now out on the playground. We have a lot of different facilities. The tether ball, and we also have a shed with some basketball courts. Sometimes they get hit. Miss Craig and Miss Freeze are out there. Do a good job to help the students. Give a little bit of guidance, but enough freedom that they can work off some of their energy. This is a big toy that they have. Recess is over. It's time to move back in. Except one little boy just can't get enough swinging. And here he is. Here's Miss Johnson's with the Chapter 1 group. They're just leaving. They've just gotten some basic help in math and reading. And Miss Harris in the back. Now here it is in the lunchroom. Probably the most social place in the school. Miss Wertz, last year's PTA president. Miss Larry. Barnick, Miss Barnick. Here's our custodian, Mr. Ford. Very fortunate. Loves to be on video. Here's a positive action lesson that Miss Schultz is teaching. I can, kids, it says. Again, 20 minutes a day of something positive. It's great. Here's Mr. Malone doing something that teachers do a lot of, and that is conferencing on the phone, talking with some of you. We have a lot of parent volunteers come in and help. And now here we are with Miss Bernard. This is Miss Scott's PM kindergarten class. Today they're learning how to toss the ball in the air and hopefully catch it. Sometimes they catch it right on top of the head. Now we believe in Graham that if at first you don't succeed, you should try again. As this little boy will show us in just a minute. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. Here's Miss Craig again with Miss Liver's PM kindergarten class. Listen to this. That doesn't touch enough well. These kids are great. Here's Mr. Platt. It took me 3 days to catch him to be still long enough to get his picture. Now watch, his pen will not work. But he tries again. A lot of the enthusiasm in this school is directly owed to him. Here's our nurse, and this is Miss Bess Nacarado. She attends to the health needs. And here we have Theo Graves. She spent many hours getting everything possible for this tonight and for the next workshops. We also have Chris Nelson Penland. Did I get that right? And she also put a lot of work in. This guy I know personally, and here we're talking to a student about something that happened in the classroom. They love the beanbag chairs. They like to get out of the chairs. Here we are. We finally made it through the school day. If you're as tired as I am, it's time to go home. Teachers and parents talk about the day. Mr. Cooper can't believe how long his to-do list still is. We also believe that all students should get a nice goodbye as they leave, so watch her. Goodbye. We have different buses with different flags so kids can find their bus. The school day doesn't hear from the teachers. They stay after and they try to get ready for tomorrow. They talk about the day, how it went. Here they are in the work area trying to talk about and get ready for students for the next day. Miss Barbara Dees, the night custodian here, trying to keep the area clean and nice. And here they are at the end. And that's it. Is that right? We're going to take a 10-minute break? 5-minute break, and then we'll come back real shortly, and then we'll send you home.
You can do with your kids with music to have fun together. The last session will focus on parent-teacher conferences, and we're hoping to get a brave teacher who will talk about what it's like to prepare for a conference from a teacher's point of view. We'll have parents talk about how they approach the conference and role playing, and try to answer any questions you might have about parent-teacher conferences and how to have an effective one. We'll also talk about learning styles at that conference. We'll learn about learning styles and how our children learn and how we can help them learn more. Also, the next 3 workshops, our school secretary, Mrs. Hubbard, will be here. She can register you to vote. So if you're not registered to vote, she'll be here to do that. We will also have someone here from PTA who can take your membership if you're interested in that. And then, last Tuesday in October is the Halloween party. And by then we'll all know each other really well. We'll all have worked really hard for 4 weeks, and we'll be ready for a party. So we'll have to work on our costumes the other 6 days a week. So we'll be ready the last Tuesday in October.
I'd just like to take a minute to explain our home learning activities. We put one of them out at the refreshment table for you to try, and if you haven't made monster toast yet, here's what it is, and you can do it on your way out. It's one that, yeah, Mr. Cooper has some too. It's one that the kindergartners in Mrs. Scott's class are doing. Is it this week or last week? Anyway, it's a real hot item among Mrs. Scott's kindergartners, and it's fun to do, and we even had grandparents at our house doing the monster toast. And this is an example of a home learning activity. What you do is you get a piece of white bread, and you get milk and put food coloring in it, and then you paint your bread, and then you toast it. And you can have a monster face, or you can make a landscape. We had a sailboat at our house. So if you'd like some monster toast, try it after we finish the meeting. Other examples of learning activities are over against the wall there where it says home learning activities. And I noticed during the break time quite a few of you were picking up the sheets, and we encourage you then over there to collect some sheets of different activities. I won't take the time now since it is getting late. Won't take the time to explain the activities, but they are broken down into grade levels, preschool, kindergarten, first and second, third and fourth, fifth and sixth grade. And our teachers have been generous enough to collect these and run them all for us and have them available for us to put out. And there's some neat ideas about holiday, seasonal type things, some cultural things from other countries, emphasizing thankfulness, as Thanksgiving will be here in about a month and a half. Thankfulness is something I tell my children a lot. They need to work on at home and be thankful. That's all the work you have to do. The preschool kindergarten has some fun things. I don't have the one with me, but some of you parents are picking up about picking up the mess in your room. There's a game. If you can step over everything without touching a toy, then you don't have to pick up your room by yourself. But if it's so messy that you touch a toy when you step over, then you have to pick it up, and you can request help. So that's one of the activities. And folks, we can make learning work to our advantage if we're smart about it. Then we will have new activities out each week, and in your home file folder, which we want you to bring back each week, there is a sheet in there on home learning activities, and we'd like you to fill it out in terms of one that worked for you. I don't have the sheet with me, but you can find it in there. Fill it out and come back and share your own experiences. Yes, Mrs. Johnson has one right there. It says what to do and what you need, and you should each have one. If not, check the table here at the end of the workshop. And we really encourage you to do these activities at home because they're great fun, and this is the kind of thing where parents can make a difference in their child's education at home. And what else? Oh yes, we do have another sheet in there that is a home learning activity, and that's drawing a picture with your family doing something together. Somebody who has that read off the exact title for me. Our family, yes. Our family, draw a picture of your family. What does your family like to do together? And I would encourage you to get some extra paper and sit your whole family down at the table and take 5 minutes to do this, because it doesn't take long and it's lots of fun. You can each give everybody their own sheet of paper and they can draw it and then share, or you can talk about it and each draw a picture of the same thing. While your children are in their childcare, we are trying to make it a positive learning experience for them, and so we're having them make books, and as they come back each week, they will do sheets like this also. They did one tonight about who lives at my house, and so we're going to save those and collect them and make a book that they'll have at the end of the workshops. So this is the kind of thing that we want you to think about, and come with your own ideas, and we'll share more next week. Any questions or comments? We'd like to now turn it over to Mr. Platt to talk with you about your questions and comments that you have about the school or the program.
Are there any questions? Well, it's been a nice time. I want to mention some things about what's going on as far as hiring new staff and housing the numbers of students we have. Right now, we're in the midst of bidding for the moving of 2 more portables to this school, and it's taking a little longer because in public institutions you have to bid everything, and it takes longer to do things. If you're in a private institution, we would have had the portables up and running right now, but we're not. We're in a public institution, and it takes a little longer. But we hope to have those in next month. So I say so. In the interim, we have transferred over Kathy McConnell from Sunny Mountain to take 2nd and 3rd grade. She's now going to be working with the 2nd and 3rd grade teachers and helping them out. We're not going to form a class, a split class, until the portables are here. So she'll work here, and that will be a big bonus for those students. We're in the midst, we're going to start hiring a new specialist, we're called a super specialist, and that person will probably be doing artwork or computer work with students. Because we have the numbers of students, we don't have enough specialist time. So that person will be hired within a week. We've got a kindergarten position posted, and that will close in another 5 days. We have a 5th grade position open. That closes Thursday, and we'll start looking for hiring a teacher for the 5th grade. The 5th grade will be housed in the project area down here, the art music room down here. They call it the art music room, actually it's just the project area room down here. That's where the 5th grade will form that class starting Wednesday. People in the 5th grade will get some notices on that. The kindergarten will be formed as soon as we get that person hired, and they will be meeting in half of the chapter 1 room, where there's a wall that goes down. We divide that class in half. There's enough room there for a class. And we're going to put the kindergarten room in there until the portables get here. When the portables get here, the 5th grade will go out of the portal, the kindergarten will go into that project area, which is a larger room. So we've got that kind of movement going on because of the space we have in the building. So that's the situation here at Graham right now. It's still, functioning really well. I've been in the 5th grade classrooms with large numbers, and they just really are on task, and it seems to be doing really well. The school is really, if you go walking through it, you'll see the students, and this is a bunch of you people, are on task. This is every teacher who teaches here is so happy to be here and working with these students because they are, they want to be here, they like it here, and they do really well. And so it's easy to teach those kind of students, and we thank you for preparing them for coming to school the way you do. It makes it so much easier and right here. It makes the school a lot better place for kids. The playground, as you see, is getting greener. They finally fertilized it. They're going to fertilize it again next week for the winter. And if it keeps going like it is right now, there's no problem. We'll have the backstops up and baseball playing on here next spring. I hope to open it up in April. And it's making big progress. We're going to have one of the most wonderful fields in the district in April. Other than that, though, the kids do really well on the play field in the small area they have. I've been out there a lot with them. They really cooperate amongst each other. There's very few accidents. There would think to be a lot of accidents, but there are a few, but there are not a whole lot of dangerous ones. And the kids take real care cooperating. The wall ball games are being no fights because they all play by the rules, basically. And but when Mr. Platt comes around, they really play by the rules. The game changes immediately, but that's okay. They seem to be doing really well, and that's really neat. The bus situation is coming along. We're having a meeting with the bus drivers Thursday to go over assigning seats and working. That's working out really well, assigning seats. There's been some questions about that, but it's really worked out. We're getting to control those buses. It's a lot quieter on those buses, a lot safer. There are still some areas where we're working on, some buses we're still working on, but overall it's improved a great deal. We're really happy with that progress. The bus drivers have been really cooperative with it. Really been happy with their cooperation. Let's see, anything else about Graham I need to talk about?
What process are you using to select students to go to these new classes?
Good question. You will be receiving in the newsletter the process, and Basically, start with the 5th grade. Each one's different because of the different situation. 2nd and 3rd grade, we will discuss that later because that's down the road, maybe a month or so, and we'll go through that then. The 5th grade, we're going to ask for volunteers to start with. All the 5th grade students will be taking home a volunteer form along with the newsletter. In the newsletter, I'll be explaining the whole situation to everybody, what's going on, how we're going to do it. In the letter that you get for volunteering, it explains again what we're doing. And if you want, you can volunteer your child for that new class. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they will get the class, but at least you get a chance to volunteer. Because there's one thing we have to try and do is try to equalize the classes in every way we can. Okay? We don't want to have a new teacher come in and then you throw all the problems into that classroom. We want to make sure we get it equalized, that's fair for everybody. This is one thing I really want to stress, that we want to be fair to every student and every teacher, because that's the only way it's going to work. Well, anyway, get the volunteer, then we have the teachers, the class, they meet and they decide the rest of the division of kids, and then we contact you by phone as a decision. That's 5th grade. Kindergarten, very complex situation because we have a bus situation too. We're trying to make an AM class, so and we only want to take so many out of the AM classes, so we're going to do a volunteer thing for the AM people that we have already. The PM, we just found there's an area that I guess they have to take an hour and a half to get to school or something like that, or go home or something like that. We're going to take that area and we're going to contact those parents and ask to switch them to an AM. That way, it's a pod of area, be easy to transport by bus. And that whole situation will be contacted by phone. We'll talk to the parents on that. It's when we get a person hired, and that's 2 weeks. I'm not going to rush into hiring. I don't go out and just hire anybody for the school. I really take it very seriously, and I want the best I can get. I think you deserve the best, and I think we deserve the best to work with. The kids do too. And I take my time doing it. I'm not in that big a rush. Right now we're okay in the classrooms. But we need to look for good staff. And that does take time. And right now it's really a tough time to hire because the hiring window, you might say, is April, May, and June. Now it's not the window, okay? But there's still a lot of good teachers out there. And this is a very attractive school to teachers. We've had a lot of inquiries to get into the school. There's obvious reasons. And so that helps a lot. Just you people coming out here attracts teachers, good teachers, believe me. Interest, the parent interest, and the teachers see that they flock to come to the school and apply to get in here. I have all kinds of applicants within the district to get into the school because they see what you people want and they want to have the same thing. So that's how you get good teachers. Any other questions? Okay, it's getting late and I appreciate all your interest and we'll see you next week. Thank you for coming.